Hi everyone, thank you for subscribing to our channel. And if it's your first time, welcome. Kindly please subscribe and like our channel. Let's get down to it. Let's get labor smart with Rich Auntie. The pandemic did us bad. It did us bad, and unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and a year later, people are still losing their jobs because of how the pandemic affected so many businesses. And I think it is rather fitting for us to talk about retrenchment.
All right. So, according to legal wise, they define retrenchment as a form of dismissal due to no fault of the employee. It is a process whereby the employer reviews its business needs in order to increase profits or limit losses, which leads to reducing its employees. So, in a nutshell, this means that the employee has done absolutely nothing wrong. And unfortunately, due to operational requirements, the employer will then need to downsize the labor force in order to keep afloat, and like they have mentioned, all right? So, luckily, there are so many legislation that's in place that is very protective of the employee. Okay, so according to the International Labour Organization, they recommend that positive steps should be taken by all parties concerned to avert or minimize, as far as possible, reductions of the workplace, but the adoption of appropriate measures without prejudice to the efficient operation of the undertaking, establishment, or service. And in a nutshell, what this means is that before the employee is retrenched, obviously then the employer will need to start with the consultation process where the consultation takes place whether with the workplace forum or with the registered trade union of the possible employees who are likely to be affected by the retrenchment, or employees that are also likely to be affected by the retrenchment procedure. Okay, and this is basically just to ensure that all parties reach a consensus on matters such as the avoiding the dismissal. Obviously, we have to look at what kind of steps can be taken to avoid this procedure by all means, and maybe minimizing the number of dismissals. What kind of plans does or strategies the employer might have in place to minimize the number of people who are going to be retrenched? If ever there are any ways they can avoid retrenchments, by all means. And this is the time where everything they talk about, especially with your severance pay and the method of selecting the employees to be dismissed, this is what is being discussed during this consultation process. And it is quite important that these parties are given enough time to reply back to the employer in terms of whatever that is discussed during this consultation process. Okay. And on that note, it is also important for us to note that the employer has to disclose relevant information in writing, including maybe the reasons of the retrenchment, the number of people who are likely to be affected by this retrenchment, and what kind of method has the employer put in place to select the people who are going to be retrenched. And of course, the important part of this, the severance pay proposal. Okay, so it is really, really quite important to make sure that all of these things that are discussed before anything starts with the retrenchment procedure. Like I have mentioned before, this is only the first video. There are two more to be uploaded going deeper into the topic of retrenchments, where we talk about procedural fairness and substantive fairness and how to see whether your dismissal was unfair or it was fair. All right. So more than anything, I would like to just thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time again when we upload the next video. Thank you very much.